Okay, I have an indivisible meeting in like 15 minutes, but I gotta say this. Y'all, please stop taking the bait from Donald Trump and his regime. Earlier today, Trump made some offhand comment in his meeting with Ukrainian President Zelensky. And within like 5 minutes, people on the internet were crashing out over it. So here's what he said.
For people to do democratic, open, legal elections.
So you say during the war you can't have elections. So let me just say 3.5 years from now. So you mean if we happen to be in a war with somebody, no more elections? Oh, that's good. I wonder what the fake.
You like this idea?
No.
Speaking of news,
Almost instantaneously, people were posting that Donald Trump was going to intentionally start a war in 3+ years in order to suspend elections in the United States. I understand that the classic blunders are never get involved in a land war in Asia and never go up against a Sicilian when death is on the line. But let me just add a third one here. Never believe that Donald J. Trump is spitting facts or is an oracle or the shit that comes out of his mouth is gospel truth. What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing panicking like this? Like immediately, Trump is going to cancel elections in 2028 so he can stay in power. These next ones are comments I took off of TikTok videos of that clip of Zelensky and Donald Trump. He's basically referencing a war that can be started so he does not have to leave. Is that not a frightening statement? And we all know that Cheeto Dust has every intention of trying to cheat and stay in. And this is how he does it. He makes a joke, gauges the reaction, then slowly makes it a reality. And the creator said, absolutely. I'm sorry, T-Pizzle, you are giving Donald Trump way, way more credit than he deserves. Trump is notoriously impulsive and not strategic. He's effective because he refuses to play by the rules and he constantly bullies, not because he has some grand, incredible plan and he's some kind of genius who is playing everybody. He's not the puppet master you think he is. He's Vladimir Putin's puppet. Like Vladimir Putin, yeah, okay. Former KGB agent, we could definitely say he's a bit of a puppet master. Donald Trump? No. He's just surrounded by all of these sycophants who are willing to go along with what he wants because it profits them or because they're scared, because they are gutless, spineless cowards who give in to his threats. So many people around him see this as an opportunity for them to be greedy, to profit themselves, or they are weak and they fold like a chair. I mean, that's Trump's whole strategy, threats and intimidation. Again, he's notoriously impulsive. The fact that so many people in the comments on social media like immediately gave his words credence, acted like this is something that's going to happen, needlessly started worrying about whether or not Donald Trump would suspend elections and try and stay in power, rather than focusing on like the very real issues right in front of us, like Texans gerrymandering, the congressional map, like the corrupt uber-conservative majority on the Supreme Court with their Christo-fascist unitary executive theory agenda, like the fact that ICE is carrying out an ethnic cleansing in this country, that hundreds of thousands of immigrants are being rounded up and deprived of their rights. Right? Like, obviously, Donald Trump is fantasizing about how he can stay in power. He didn't really want to be president this time around, y'all. He needed to become president in order to avoid going to prison. I mean, same for Elon Musk. He said if he didn't get Trump elected that he was screwed. But the fact that somebody who doesn't have even the most vague understanding of the Constitution, of how our laws work, of like how America operates, says something, does not mean he knows what the fuck he's talking about. And it doesn't mean that he is an oracle speaking the future into being. He's not accurately predicting what's going to happen. Just like Trump Steaks and Trump University, most of Trump's ideas are really bad and they fail. I understand he's done a lot of terrible things, but most of the terrible things he's doing are not any part of his plan. They're the Project 2025 plan. Those are the folks who are driving Donald Trump and giving him the distraction of like, hey, why don't you go design a ballroom for the White House? Why don't you go up on the roof for a little bit, Grandpa? So in case you were freaking out about that, I want you to watch this clip because y'all, just so you know, yes, Ukraine suspended elections because they're in the middle of a war because Vladimir Putin is trying to steal part of their country. And Thanks to Donald Trump and a number of Republicans, the United States is no longer that stalwart ally that Ukraine needs. And it is written into their constitution that they can suspend elections under these circumstances. But take courage, y'all. I understand there's all kinds of ways that the Trump regime is intent on violating the Constitution. This is the America is so wonderful and we worship the Constitution. These are the guys who went around with the Constitution printed on their t-shirts previously and said that they were all about, adoring the founding fathers, revering the founding fathers. They were all originalists. These are the guys now who just want to trample all over the Constitution, and instead of a shirt with our founding documents on it, they have some real bad AI image of Donald Trump as Caesar or the Pope. Right? They've abandoned the Constitution to make a golden calf out of Donald Trump. Previously, they said they were all about the Constitution. Our Constitution is different than Ukraine's Constitution. I get that the decrepit Cheeto doesn't seem to understand that, but you and I can. And you don't have to take my word for it. Obviously, if you want to sit down and read both documents, go for it. But also,
if the U.S. Constitution called for a suspension of elections during wartime, you'd actually have a point here, but it doesn't. The Ukrainian one does. So they are following their Constitution, for better or worse. They are following their Constitution. You can make what you want of that. You can say that's good, that's bad, but that is what their laws state, and they are following those laws. Even the opposition leader of the Ukrainian political party came out and said, no, Zelensky is not a dictator, and no, he is not breaking law. He is following our laws.
Also, I just want to say, do not go on Reddit right now and search up this issue, because folks over there are freaking out even more than they're freaking out on TikTok. They're all literally saying Trump is going to go start a war somewhere with, Mexican drug cartels or with Canada to the north in order to justify suspending elections. Now, we know that Trump wants to manufacture crises all the time. That's what, would-be dictators do. But Ukraine is not having elections right now because their country has been actively invaded by Russia, and they cannot guarantee free and fair elections in their country, especially not with Russian interference. And their constitution provides for them to be able to suspend elections during that set of circumstances. Now, if you didn't believe that gentleman from Project Liberal that I just showed a clip of from back in February, let me point you to the Brennan Center for Justice. I'm just going to read directly from their website, brennancenter.org. Fact: the presidential election cannot be canceled. The Constitution requires that presidential elections take place every 4 years. No one, not even the president, can cancel the presidential election. Congress set the current date for presidential elections in 1845, and it has been held on this date every 4 years, even through the Civil War, even through 2 world wars for over 175 years. Furthermore, the Constitution requires that the president's term end on January 20th. There are no exceptions that would allow a president to stay in office after that date unless they had been reelected. No presidential election has ever been canceled in the history of this nation. There is no national emergency or crisis that could cause the presidential election to be suspended. Anyone who tells you the presidential election will be canceled is lying to you. Of course, Donald Trump has his megalomania. Of course, he thinks anything he thinks up, he can bring about. Of course, he thinks the rules don't apply to him. Of course, he is fantasizing about doing whatever he wants to do in order to grift, in order to avoid justice, in order to seek petty retribution on his political enemies. Of course he's going to do all those things. Donald Trump is a known quantity, y'all. And because we know what he is, please stop acting like, because he says something off the cuff in a press conference, that Donald Trump will create a war for us to enter into and then stop elections in 2028 in order to stay in power. I'm going to say it one more time. I'm going to end up saying it a lot more times, but please stop pretending that Donald Trump gets to write our future. Please stop handing over our future in advance to Donald Trump and his narcissistic fantasies. Stop doing that. We need to be defending our democratic norms. We need to be defending our rights, claiming our rights, and refusing to hand them over in advance.